Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Stay Positive podcast. Every man, woman, child, and everything in between. What a lovely day to be alive. We're living life, aren't we, Pete?
Living life, man.
Uh,
That was different. You started that intro a little different than last time. Or we didn't have an intro last time, but the usual is different than the
We
usual.
didn't have a guest this time, which reminds me, everything we say is our opinion, so don't take it. We're still flawed human beings. We don't know everything, despite it all. Um,
Yeah, weird. I thought Alex knew everything.
it's true.
He sure acts like it a lot.
I mean, I try my best, but I can't speak for Pete, but I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to see new things, correct any views that I had that were not true in the past. So, I can be ignorant sometimes, as shocking as that may sound.
Weird. Weird, man. I didn't know you had it in you
What?
to be ignorant.
Nah, yeah, I know it's borderline impossible, but it's true.
Yeah, it's a real tough life to live when your brain is just so
Yeah, when
massive
I
that
have
you
a
just you literally know everything. That's Alex's problems.
5,000 IQ galaxy brain.
5,000 galaxy-sized brain.
Um,
That reminds me of something I used to make fun of my friend about because he's actually really smart too. So we would always just clown him and say like stuff like that to him. But anywho, so I'm curious what you thought of our last conversation.
with our lovely guest Zach.
Yes.
I thought we had nice conversation. It was a bit different than what we usually do. We usually just talk about life and stuff. We don't really get too political.
That is totally in the description of the Stay Positive podcast. So, I mean,
I mean, politics is a part of stuff, so
yeah,
it
it's
falls
true.
it falls in the category of life and stuff. So I don't know how much political stuff we're gonna do in the future. I don't know about you, but we'll probably try to like do it on occasion, but not an everyday type of thing, every week type of thing.
Nah. I will say I want to be able to meet some very intelligent people that can actually I have the same mentality. I want to learn as much as possible. So I want to meet someone that's going to school me completely. Tell me like why the US is a either just shining lighthouse on a hill in a sea of nothingness or if it's just as habitable as the Sahara Desert and why we should love or hate it. Whatever. I don't know.
No, I said it, or at least I wanted to say it last time, and I'll say it now. America is one of, if not the greatest countries in the world right now. That doesn't mean there aren't a lot of internal and external problems. That doesn't mean our economy is perfect. It doesn't mean our social systems are perfect. There are a lot of things that could be improved. And after last week, I had a conversation with Zach about some social issues, and I think we both came to agree. We're not like 100% the same, but I think we were like 99% on the same page. And I believe that it's hard. I think that was the conclusion we both got, is like we may see a solution, or we may see a way for things to work, but to actually put it into practice, to convince hundreds of millions of people in different social, racial, and economic classes is very difficult, you know?
Damn straight, man. You can't solve everybody's problems with one solution.
Yeah, like for example, we talked about education a lot last time, and you brought up off camera, off recording, how Finland, they don't have like private education, or you can't pay for education, which forces all the social classes to go to the same schools, which puts
True that.
which puts everyone on an even playing field, which
True that.
on paper sounds like a really good idea. And if America could start from a clean slate, that probably would be a really good idea. But we're not on a clean slate. We have our current system, and there are people who like the current system. So basically, trying to convince people who are very rich in a very nice neighborhood to go to school with very poor kids would be hard to convince. On top of that,
Sucks.
I don't know Finland perfectly, but I'm confident the level of poverty there is probably not as low.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there also, of course, like you said, there are so many differences though between the U.S. and obviously something like that would never work for. I mean, two big things that stand out to me are just U.S. is already just so privatized. There's so many parts of U.S. culture, economic infrastructure that is privatized. That's one thing. Also, Finland is a relatively homogenous um, country
Yeah.
in terms of racial profile. So, the US is definitely not. And I mean, that's a great thing for our country and for just the people that are not inhabiting the people that live here. That's just one of the founding reasons of the country. So, I mean, there are so many reasons why it just wouldn't necessarily work here.
Yeah.
Those two being the first jumping out to me, but it's I mean it is interesting nonetheless to see what's worked in somewhere else in the world. I mean, I don't know how the Far East handles their education system, but I know for a fact that it's extremely stringent.
Yeah, no.
They're very hard on education in the East.
Yeah, China is very old school in that they really try to teach. Like, according to my Chinese friends, there are private tutors and there are like you can get help like if you're rich enough, but for the most part you can get everything you need in the education. And but the education itself is really advanced and really strict and really hard, and they still adhere to the old system where there's a special exam that you take at the end of high school, and you only get one chance to take this exam, and if you do poorly on it you can't get into a good college and you can never have a good job in China. So
Basically, also one thing I learned when I came to college and met Owen. If you don't know who Owen is, go back a couple episodes.
the beast of
But
the east.
yes, he told me that they do schooling from 9 to no, from 7 to 9 or 7 to 6, some crazy amount of hours because they basically do schooling until 12. They take a 1 hour lunch break, and then they go again until 5 or 6, and then afterwards they have to do all their homework and blah 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 blah, which is crazy to me. Like in the U.S., a normal school day is 8 to 3 for most places. Give or take a half hour
And then
here
you
and there.
wonder why they're better than
Um,
us.
Well, I suppose yes and no. I mean, we also talked with Owen about the relative intelligence of the Chinese community, and he said that it's relatively intelligent but can be better, which of course
Everywhere.
is yeah, that's the Switzerland answer to any question. They're good but can be
Yeah.
better. No, I'm really interested to dive more deeply into this whole education problem. I feel like personally it's something that I'm really interested in, and because we've already established that we love learning, we may have actually talked about this a little bit, maybe in the first episode. I don't remember when
Talk
exactly,
about
but
it every episode.
it's so no, we don't talk about it every episode, but unless we do. No, we don't. We
Someone
don't. We don't.
download all our episodes, listen to them, and answer if we talk about it every episode, please.
Yeah, this whole system of education in the U.S. I mean, how, dude, throw an idea at me right now. I mean, I have ideas as well, and I have projects, quote unquote, that seek to kind of break the system, but they it can't necessarily come to fruition right now.
How to save America's education.
And well, not America's education right away. I mean, it could. I've always brainstormed, because I mean, unfortunately, we've gotten to a place in society where people need a lot of hand holding.
Which is really
I
bad.
feel like that's very, very bad. I feel like a lot of people have lost this sense of autonomy and individualistic responsibility. How to fix that? I'm no parent, but I would assume that it comes from parenting and teaching your kids how to, learn and do things on their own. If you tell your kid what to do from a young age, I don't know. Like I said, no parent. So this is just my intuition as a human being. If you just hover over them and helicopter over them all the time, I'm assuming they're not going to be very fit to handle situations on their own. Is that a generally good assumption?
I mean, like, the thing is, like, certain tiger mentalities, like, tiger moms who are really on top of their children, but, like, in a more, like, strict manner, in the sense of you must get good grades, you must do that. That's not a perfect system, but I respect it, because the thing is, my philosophy teacher, he said something very thought-provoking. He said, when you're a parent, you don't want to be friends with your child. You want to be friends with your child when he's 20, when he's 30, when he's 40. And the principle behind that mentality is your kid probably doesn't know what's best for him or her.
Oh, definitely not, dude.
So you don't need to
jack.
you don't need to get along with your friend, and you definitely, in my opinion, as a parent, you shouldn't coddle them. Like, you should, like, guide them on the right path, but you shouldn't, like, make them, I hate that, participation award mentality, that, like, oh,
Oh my
you're
gosh.
good the way you are.
Everybody gets a trophy
Yeah, there's
and playing. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. You're just as good as everyone else. It's like, no, you're not. You could be. You could be. But you might not. Statistics are you probably aren't. Like, I believe greatness is not given, it's earned. If you want to excel at something, it's not something you just get. You're not good at something.
Be great.
Be great, yeah. Don't assume greatness.
Don't assume. Did you ever play youth soccer as a kid? I feel like everybody does it.
Soccer?
Yeah. Did you never play soccer as a kid in your hometown?
No.
You never played soccer.
I've done other things. I played basketball.
Were you a big kid?
No, I was scrawny.
Huh. Well, dude, I feel like everybody played soccer.
Yeah, but I'm not me, because I'm really bad at soccer.
Well, in any case, I think that's where that participation trophy mentality came up in soccer. Because I actually have a couple of those. I have more winners trophies, of course. But
no, there's nothing wrong with, like, giving children, like, those little things, but, like, don't, like, celebrate it. Don't be like, haha, yes, you got something. It's like, well, yeah, that's nice. It's not meaningful, but it was nice. It's like, I don't want to, like, push kids on the ground and just, like, yell at them. It's like, you suck, but they should, like, kids aren't stupid. They kind of, on their own, they can kind of figure out that, yeah, I lost, or yeah, I won. What I don't like is parents trying to convince their children that that's wrong, that, like, I understand that some children might be, shy or have self-esteem issues, and you want to help them, but
totally normal.
But in my opinion, you have to tackle the issue, not ignore the issue. It's like, for example, like if you are slightly overweight, that's not, and kids might be bullying you. First of all, bullying, I don't know what Pete's stand is, but I am 100% against bullying. It's not nice. I always believe in treating people the way I want to be treated, and I definitely don't want to be insulted, especially for something that's potentially not even my fault. So, don't bully. That's my PSA for today. But basically, if they're being bullied and you're the parent, you should either try to make them focus on either solving it, like doing very simple exercise to, like, lose the weight, or, like, focus on their eating behavior and what they're eating, and don't, like, make them feel bad. Don't be like, oh, you're bad because of this. That's 100% wrong. But you should say, listen, it's not healthy in the future. Right now you're fine, but, like, if this keeps going, it could get worse. We need to tackle this now. You're a team. You should now. not every parent-child relationship is perfect, you know. Like mine wasn't perfect. I can't. Maybe yours probably wasn't perfect. We all like get into arguments with kids, parents, as especially as teenagers. We're always rebelling.
Oh my god, dude! As a teenager, I can't even remember how many times I would get into stupid little petty fights with my parents.
Right, but
And I look back on it now, and I'm just like, what was I on, man? I mean, of course, there's all the hormones and just twisting my emotions like crazy, but yo, I remember, man. Sometimes I would get mad because I don't know, my sandwich that I made. Like if I made myself lunch, for instance, and it wasn't the right way, I'd get mad at my parents for it. I'd be like, "This bread was old," or some stupid thing.
I told you to go grocery shopping.
Yeah. Man, sound like such an entitled genius.
No,
right
every
now. But
teenager
no,
is like
man,
that.
Every teenager is like it.
Just-
It's so funny. I literally laugh about all that stuff and cringe about it sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Don't you ever look back a little bit and you're just like, oh, okay. I definitely blew up a few times for no reason.
Right, but I think both of us still love our parents, you know, and we respect them very much.
For sure.
Because
For
at the end of
sure.
the day, we may not get along all the time, but we are a team, you know, and especially as before you're a teenager, I think kids really look up to their parents as like a role model, an inspiration, a beacon on how to like behave or how to be. And yeah, there are spoiled kids, but for the most part, I like to think kids learn from, you know, monkey see, monkey do, whatever their parents do. No, you're laughing, but like it's true.
I know, it's so funny. It's such a funny saying. It's because it applies so well. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, so basically the kids, they will emulate how their parents behave. And if your kid is getting bullied, you know, while it is 100% the bully's fault, you know, you have to somehow help your child rise above it rather than succumb to it.
Yeah, I mean, you could there are two places you can go. You either just punch the kid in the face or just ignore him, you know? Take the high road. That's interesting what you said that before. That you could have a buddy relationship with your parents.
I think that's wrong.
Only after. No. I said only after certain developmental period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know a few of my friends, or I know one friend specifically. He says that his best friend on this planet is his dad, for instance. That's pretty interesting to me, because it's not necessarily the same with my case. Of course, I go to my parents and tell them a lot of stuff, and I trust them with a lot of personal issues, you could say. But I wouldn't necessarily call any of my parents my best friends, because there are some things you should just tell a parent, and there are some things you should not. And I don't know. I don't have to make exact cases for what those things should be. But the point is, you know, this friend of mine, he says, yeah, he could go to his dad with literally anything, and he can always trust his dad to give him an objective view, which I kind of disagree with. I don't think your dad will ever give you an objective view, because he's your dad and he's going to want to see the best for you, not the other person or situation that you're in. But, you know, regardless, I always thought that was kind of interesting, especially because I don't necessarily have that. But it's not like in a way that I want to feel like I have that. You know, I'm not jealous, or I'm just merely people watching, observing the scenario,
Right.
and looking at it from a lens of curiosity rather than remorse, because I don't have. Yeah, but monkey see, monkey do, man. You know? Are you more of a nature or nurture type of person when it comes to parenting?
I think nurturing is more effective than nature. Nature obviously plays a part because, you know, genetically, if you come from a line of people who are really smart and really educated, and there's a good chance that unless there's some extreme environmental change, you're going to be pretty sharp yourself. Or but like if you
Weird how it works.
like say you adopted a child, like you come from a long line of aristocrats and intellectuals, and then you adopt a child who was from a family of poor people.
Brought up from serfdom.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's like
That's messed up, but
they can become much more educated than had they stayed in wherever adoption, orphanage, or poor family they came from, but they might not be at the same level as, their parents, simply because they aren't his or her parents, you know?
simply. So you're more nurture type.
No, like, nurture is the only one I can control, so obviously I'm going to emphasize it the most.
Yeah, of course.
If I give birth, no, well, not if I.
You.
Shut up, Pete. Shut up,
That's
Pete.
funny.
If I have a child with a lovely woman, I can't control how that child comes out, but I can control how much love, attention, and care I give that child. If I neglect it, or if I leave it alone, or God forbids, like me and my wife pass away, then the child will be left alone. And while he or she will inherit me and my wife's genetics, he won't learn from me. And if he's raised by a poor quality household, that's violent or neglectful, there's a good chance he will have a combination of mine and my wife's characteristics, but he will use them in a different way based on the environment he's in.
Yeah, I've always really I'm more of a 50-50 type of person, nature nurture. Because whenever I try to evaluate a situation, I try to see what did they glean from their childhood that brought them here, and what are their parents like. You ever side note, you ever look at a kid and then meet the parents and see in which ways the kid looks like the parents?
Yeah.
I try to do that for myself as well. I've always tried to analyze what features physically, just facial features, I have from both my parents. And it's actually kind of weird because it's crazy how you can literally just mix genetic material of two people to get this new person, and they look like their own new unique self. It's crazy.
I have a question.
It's weird. Question me.
A friend of mine, he said something to me. We were talking. So my friend has a half brother, so the same mom, different father.
Yeah.
And I thought they were half related, because they're half brothers. And they said that they're quarter related. I want to ask you, does that sound right to you? Because I still think that's wrong. That's not true. Because the way I think of making a child is you have two glasses of water, right? One's red and one's blue. And then you just fill a cup with some arbitrary mixture of the two. And that's a child. So the most simple version is you just put 50% blue, 50% red, and boom, you have a full cup of purple. That's the child. So when it comes to their bloods, they are half related. They're not a quarter related.
Yeah, that's completely
okay. They're
true.
Wrong.
They are half
I'll
related.
call them out on
how I'm just curious how your friend came about thinking in that way.
I have no idea. I said, I literally, it was you're half brothers, no? And he's like, no, we're quarter. And I'm like,
maths.
What do you mean you're quarter? It's well, if you take this, I didn't argue with him because we were out in the city and we were just hanging out. So, so I wasn't gonna start a fight when we're having a good time. But I was just
That's quick maths, bro.
Yeah, but I was just dude, you have the same mother and different fathers, so literally half of your parents are the same. You are half brothers.
Weird.
But whatever. Okay, I'm
Weird.
glad you agree with me and I'm not crazy.
Anyways.
But when we were talking about nature, I'm not only talking about physical, I'm talking about mental,
Yeah, of course.
I can glean from looking at my parents what similarities I have from both of them from just a mental aspect.
Oh yeah, true that. What would you say you've gotten from your parents? I can tell you what I've gotten.
I think I have my father's creativity and optimism, and I have my mother's. Because both my parents are serious, but I think I have a more stone cold seriousness like my mom. When I get motivated, I get really motivated and I'm 100% focused. The problem is I'm not always like that, which sucks, but whatever. We're talking about the things I inherited. So I think I inherited my mother's like very strict work ethic and discipline, but my father's creativity and yeah, and his kind nature as well as his disorganization.
Oh my
Because my mom is
god.
really organized, and while I'm not as unorganized as my father, I'm not as organized as my mom.
Your dad. I love your dad for his notorious disorganization skill. You know how people say they have organization skills? Your dad has disorganization
The thing is,
skills.
it's like you and my mom will say that he's disorganized, but like for the most part, as long as you don't touch his stuff, he'll know where everything is. Now, I'm not gonna say he's perfect. I'm
Mm.
just saying like that's one thing I also inherited is like when I leave a mess, I know where everything is in that mess. And the second you put something in a neat pile, well now guess what I have to do? I have to go through the entire pile to extract all the things I needed at the time. Whereas, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
That's a hot take, man. That's really hot take. I can't I when there's disorder with my things, I'll never be able to find stuff. But in order, I thrive. That's crazy that you can just find all your stuff if it's just a heaping pile of whatever.
but I know where I put. That's the thing, right? I know what I need and I know where I put it. So my memory will be like, okay, this is where I would like literally, I'm not even kidding. Let me tell you how I find things. I will literally tell myself, where would I put it? And then I would look at the one or two places I put it and I find it. And
Oh my
guess what?
gosh.
Whenever I don't find it, it's because someone moved it. That's not my fault. So how can you call me disorganized if someone stole your phone and you're like, "Oh, where's my phone?" It's like, "What? Is that your fault you're disorganized or it's someone else's fault that they took your phone?" You know what I'm saying?
Look, you totally have a point. I just have no clue how you can operate under those parameters. Because personally, like I said, if everything's all over the place, man, it's just impossible for me. I need things. I'm almost. I can't. I don't want to say I have OCD, but I'm very really strict with myself when it comes to keeping stuff nice and tidy.
Pete,
Because that is just me
you
personally.
you know how and let me give you a science lesson, Pete. You know
Oh, all
how
right,
ice
science me.
melts like if you put it in water?
All right, bro. Listen, you're gonna give me this whole spiel right now about everything tends to disorder. We
No, no,
already
no,
know
no.
that I
That's not what
agree
I'm
with that.
doing, Pete. Shut up, Pete. That's not what I'm doing.
Okay.
So, forget ice. You know how like if you dissolve how sugar or salt dissolves in water?
Yes.
Which dissolves faster? You know, one cube of sugar or the same amount as powder?
Huh. Great question. I couldn't answer that for you. Hit me.
It's the powder, and the reason is the surface area is much less.
Ah, that's stupid. I should
You
know
should have
that.
known, but
Okay.
I gave you a chance.
Okay.
A swing and a miss, Pete. But whatever.
My brain is slow
Yeah,
today.
I'm tired too, but it's fine. We're still gonna podcast anyway. Anyway,
Go on.
and the point is, you know, when I have like a bunch of papers all over the floor, let's say at first, for whatever reason, I don't actually remember where it is. The rate at which it takes to look through each individual pile is much faster than looking through a giant stack of papers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my argument for like disorder is if everything is all
Hmm.
over the place, if you have a general idea where it's basically like search algorithms, and I'm not going to get too
Oh my god.
scientific here, but like in computer science there are like speeds at which you can achieve searches, and the hardest way is typically brute force, which basically means you have to look through everything to find the one thing you want. But there are ways to like do shortcuts, and one of them is the binary method, where you start in the middle and you just keep going
Mm-hmm.
back and forth in the halfway point, which is one of the most efficient ways. So That's disorder for you.
Yeah, I definitely don't have that. Okay, well, since you gave your traits that you've inherited, I'm gonna go now with
All
mine.
right. Hit me.
I know for a fact that both my parents are quite impulsive. Yes, my dad, he definitely has a really strong work ethic. Despite all the stuff that he does, he's always trying to do stuff for the better of either me and my sister or brother, or just in general. He's a really hard worker. I think it's unfortunate for him, especially at his age right now. But my mother is but both my parents are very intellectually talented, but they don't I feel like they don't stimulate themselves enough sometimes because they're just
Busy.
working all the time. Yeah, exactly, just always busy. I definitely have a very objective view of the world, or sometimes my father is not very objective, but he tries to be. But I look at things very bird's eye perspective all the time, kind of like a macro view on why this is important to not just myself, but everybody, and where things came from, like my father. But I definitely also have this need to be organized from my mom. She is perpetually on top of all of us if we have messy things. Like literally once a week she'll be like, clean your room. Or just be like, oh, okay. But honestly, at this point it's gotten to me. Like I would say I live pretty clean because my mom was literally on top of me all the time, and if I heard clean your room one more time I would lose it. Physically, emotionally, I would literally just, I don't know what I would do. But yeah, I will say one thing though. My parents are very on top of me in general. Anything that I do. Do you know that helicopter thing
Yeah.
that I said before? Yeah, I wouldn't say that they're crazy, but they're definitely on top of me and my sister.
But they don't stop you, I'd imagine. Like when you
No, they definitely don't. I think the one distinction is I'm not complaining right now about how my parents are helicopter parents. No, I just tell them that so that they can they can calm down. But in reality, they're actually not as bad as what I've seen from other people. I've seen people literally just hold their kids' hands like crossing the road, and this kid is literally a grown teenager. Like literally could be a college student almost. I was like, whoa, that's freaky.
I mean, you don't know their story. Like when I'm walking
No,
with
of
my
course not,
grandma,
of course
I like
not.
hold her hand shoulder to shoulder.
Of course, it's super judgmental to think like that. So I don't really
But I
like
get it. It's
think
like
more past it.
they're
It's
they're
weird.
still like treating them like a child. I mean, in all fairness, they are their child,
Yeah, that's one thing, dude. I feel like it'll always be. I can't speak of this now because I'm
not married.
like freaking 20 years old. But how do you deal with the fact that your child grows up? I mean, my parents all the time, they're like, where'd the years go? And I just like feel awkward because it's like, I don't know, this is my whole life. I haven't lived before this. I can't tell you. But it's like, damn, they just kind of reminisce and feel nostalgic about my whole childhood and stuff sometimes, and I'm just like, oh, wholesome.
Yeah.
But on the same note, I still got my life to live. Sometimes, do you ever look at pictures of you like as a child with your parents and everything, and you just kind of think, wow, that's nice. Must have been nice to have no responsibilities.
Relative.
Relative?
Yeah, because
Why relative?
I'm happy being an adult. I don't miss being. The only thing I miss about being a child was the free time I had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No
Yeah,
responsibilities.
but like back then, I really couldn't do much because I was stupid. Whereas now I'm less stupid. And I have some means to like pursue things that I actually want. Like now I have like my own dreams that I can see in the future. I can pursue them on my own, whereas in
Really?
the past I was
Weird how it works.
Yeah. I am an adult, Pete, despite
Oh, weird. That's super weird how it
yeah.
works.
I saw the famous, or not famous, but like this picture about like when you're a kid, like the three aspects of life, and it's like time, energy, and money, or resources for money. And when you're a kid, you have time and energy, but you don't have money. When you're an adult, you don't have time. And when you're old, you have time and money, but you don't have energy. So each stage of your life,
Hmm.
you're lacking something fundamental that will help you succeed. Relative on average. Not everyone should.
Relative. Everything's relative, man. That's interesting. Actually, I think I've seen
Yeah,
something
I
like
would
that
like
before.
to assume that when I become a millionaire soon, that I'll have time, money, and energy. As a part of I mean, I'm reminiscing now. Like I'm looking back and I'm like, dude, I'm old. Like where did my life go? Like I'm 20, I'm 24. Like honestly, like do you celebrate your birthday? Do you celebrate your birthday?
I I mean, it depends what
Do
you
you throw a huge
define as
party and
celebrating a
get all your
birthday.
friends and like go crazy?
Um, well, that depends as well. I don't know. I personally, I feel like over celebrating that stuff is kind of just
No,
not
like I'm
worth it
reaching that point where it's
for
like my
me.
birthday is just like a regular Tuesday. Like I'm waking up and I'm just like, that's
Oh,
that.
dude.
You know, I'm like,
Dude, I literally have been thinking that since I was 13, man. I haven't felt any different. You know how when you were a kid you would always get super super excited for your birthday. Your parents would, do the whole nine for you, maybe throw you a party, birthday cake, presents, it's
yeah.
whatever. It's literally another Christmas. No, I mean, I stopped feeling excited to wake up on my birthday when I was like a
Like I'm
younger kid,
borderline
honestly.
forgetting my
It
birthday.
wasn't
Like
like
I'll come up and I just wake up and go to work and I'm just like, oh, that's a special day. That's my
weird.
birthday. You know,
Weird.
like it doesn't even phase me. Like I'm literally just treating it like every other day of my life now. Whereas before, it was like
Well,
I'm paying attention. It's like, oh, again, tomorrow's a special day. It's like now it's like, and I go to sleep, I wake up, I go to work, I look at the calendar. It's like, oh, great.
well, when you think about it, it is just another day,
Yeah, I mean,
man.
it's another year of existence.
Well, it marks it, but it is just another day. People that obsess over their birthdays and everything. For me personally, I don't understand the point. It's only special to you, and while you can make the argument that things that are special to you matter and nothing else should, um, you have 7.3 billion other people on this planet that are, or okay, no, the other people that are born on this day, minus them. You have all the other people that are alive. They are just looking at this like it's a totally other day, normal day for them.
Right. Yeah, right, right.
You know?
It's just weird how time changes. And I only imagine me becoming a senile old man who hates everything. You know, it went,
Wow. That's
yeah,
that's way too cynical, man. I don't like that.
it is what, I didn't say you were going to be like that.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm not gonna let myself turn into your version
I
of.
mean, do you ever, do you ever get the feeling you're losing your patience towards things?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, like I said before, my parents are relatively impulsive, and so that's kind of gotten its way into my life. But I've been working on that a lot in general. I've gotten way better at holding myself together, like just staying grounded and stuff. So yeah, naturally I'm an impatient person, but I've become patient. I've taught myself how to be patient. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, no, it makes sense, but I'm asking, like, when you get older, won't you get sick and tired of being like, I have to be patient, and you'll just, like, lash out because you're just sick and tired
No.
of it?
No. If anything, when I'm older, I would expect myself to be more patient. Because with age comes an increased wisdom about the world, about people in general. Because you have more experiences to base your life off of and how you can react to certain situations. At least my view is. And so, based on that, I would hope that when I'm older, I'm more sympathetic. I'm more patient, I'm more understanding, open-minded. You know, by the time I'm, I don't know, hopefully 80 by all graces, if I make it to 80 or maybe more because of all these GMO foods that we're eating nowadays, I would hope that I'm, you know, like sage wisdom. I hope that I have at least some sage wisdom to impart to the world. But
We'll see. I don't think I was exaggerating. Bless you. I was exaggerating when I was
coughed.
saying. Shut up, Pete. I was exaggerating when I said that I'll be senile, but I do get the feeling like I am changing whether I like it or not. For like some
Yeah, you'll
aspects the
always be
better.
changing.
Yeah, but some aspects for the better and others for worse.
Okay, so this actually brings up something that I wanted to ask you now, based on our conversation before.
All right.
So, would you say that you are changing on your own volition, or is it something that is happening relatively out of your control, in a way?
It's both. I'd call it adaptability. You know, like things happen and you roll with it, and over time rolling with it turns into the normal, and it just
Mm-hmm.
keeps going like that over and over again for every 5 years, and by the time I'm 50 the person I am is far different than the person I was. Like even now, like when I was a young teenager, I was one of the most stoic people in the world,
You're a
arguably.
relatively stoic person still.
No,
That's
no,
why
no,
I
but
feel like
like,
people misjudge you and say you look depressed, but no, you're just serious.
yeah, but like I was legitimately serious when I was a teenager. Like they had reason to call me those things, albeit they were a little too emotional about it, coming from the stoic, right?
Hmm.
But like I had a heart of stone. Nothing phased me. Like no matter how mean the insults people were, no matter how much people tried to like bring me down or taunt me or tease me, I did not. It was not phased at all. I said, okay, well, you're stupid. Thank you for the comment. Bye. Because I never initiate. Like I'm not a confrontational person, so like I was stoic, but I wasn't fighting back. I was like, okay. Like they would like for this specific example never happened, but something similar. It's like, Alex, like why are you doing this? You look so stupid doing this. And I'm like, okay, so
Thanks for your opinion.
no, no, no,
Move
not
along.
even not even thanks for your opinion. Just like, okay, and did I do something wrong? Like, am I breaking any rules? Did I hurt anyone's feelings? And when they said no to all of that, it's like, okay, then
Thanks for
bye.
your opinion.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I'm
You
not
just
gonna
wasted
stop.
your own oxygen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stop or anything, but I guess thanks for letting me know, right?
Okay.
And
So then how about yourself now?
now
Or like how you've changed?
I try to be stoic now.
You try and it doesn't work.
No, it works. Like I'm still very good at like not letting things get to me, but like my heart, like before I was unfazed, like my heart didn't skip a beat no matter how mean people were, whereas now I'll just turn on the TV and my heart will just like sink a little, and you know that cold feeling
Oh.
in your heart, and
Yes
I'm
and
just
yes and no.
like have you ever been like really sad or really scared or something, or really
Of course,
frustrated?
of course, of course.
That feeling, like I'm experiencing that feeling and I'm just like, well, this sucks.
Oh, the feeling when your chair tips that
Yeah,
centimeter
that kind of
too
feeling.
much and you just know it's all over.
Yeah, that feeling of like not exactly fear, but like that cold shiver,
The
that
the
feeling.
heart, yeah, the heart sinking feeling into
Yeah.
your stomach. Okay.
And
Well, I mean,
but
it
on
looks like you're a very nice person apparently. If you turn on the TV, see something bad happen and your heart that happens to you. I
yeah,
can't
but
say I
like
feel the same.
the thing is, I mean, it's
I've become
relative.
desensitized.
It's
I've become so desensitized
I'm
to
scared of being
negative or positive
desensitized.
things.
That's the thing. I'm scared of that because I don't want to be that desensitized jerk who like is unfazed. But like the more time passes, the more I'm like, okay, I'm getting sick and tired of the stuff I'm seeing on TV. It's like,
Hmm.
can these people like calm down and just like take 1 second, like literal 1 second, to like think about what they're doing and what they're saying? And the answer is no. But
Well, I will say I'm desensitized, but I also because of that, have a little bit more ability to see it objectively and become more sympathetic to both sides of whatever, if it's an argument or if it's a situation, whatever it is.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But at the same time, I evolved because as a teenager, I was very stoic, but I also was very black and white in my views on life. I basically, at the time, I said my way of life, which is the productive way of life, this is the right way to live.
Of course.
No, I literally said, this is the right way to live. You have to be hardworking, you have to study, you have to try your best, and if you're not doing all of this at 100% capacity, you are wrong and you're wasting your life. That was me at 13, and as I grew up, there were moments in my life where I realized that's not 100% true. I still believe in productivity. I still believe this is, at least for me, the best way to live life is to do something you love and do it to the best of your ability. But I've come to realize, one, that's my view. That doesn't have to be anyone else's. And that's why I've come up with that example of the notion, who is for me to say the guy who's partying all the time, his way of life is worse than mine. You know what I'm saying? So I've become more open to the idea that people value different things and their pursuit of them will vary. And the second thing I realized, which is a little less philosophical, but it was that my interpretation of stupidity when I was young was just a lazy person or someone who didn't work hard.
Nice.
But there were moments in my life where like the quote unquote stupid person would excel. And I was shocked. I'm like, how could the stupid person succeed? He didn't work as hard as the valedictorian or salutatorian. How is he getting like a 98 on the exam and the future valedictorian is only getting like 88? How is that even possible? And there was one specific example that really opened up my eyes, and that was there was a kid who was like notorious for like not showing up and getting C's and D's in class. And then one day he came to me. I was on an exam day and I was like doing some last minute studying, and he came to me and he said, I studied this time. And I'm like, what do you mean you studied this time? It's like, this time I spent the weekend actually reading the textbook and just studying the stuff. And he gets almost a perfect score. And
Talent.
I mean, that's relative. I think it's just applying yourself.
Everything's relative to you.
No. Like, you can argue it's talent, but I argue it's just he actually tried this time. Like, he applied himself. And the only reason he wasn't the valedictorian himself was he didn't want to. Not because he couldn't, because... You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not that he couldn't do it, it's that he just didn't want to do it. Which really opened my eyes to that, like, the quote-unquote stupid kids aren't actually necessarily stupid because they are, but more because they chose to make certain life decisions that made me perceive them that way. And made me realize that how you judge someone should be a lot more careful. Because... And I want to emphasize, I was never a bully. I never insulted anyone as a kid. I just minded my own business. This is just pure observation. But like, it really like opened my eyes on how you can view someone a certain way, but not realize the circumstances behind that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you shouldn't judge.
Amen. To each their own. That's what I say. What I do want to ask you though is, because we talked about how we've kind of changed over the years. I didn't really talk about that much myself, but because I'm still, I like to think of myself as a constantly evolving person. So if I were to stick a little, I guess, pointer in time right now as to where I am, I would say that I'm definitely a lot more objective. I was always told that I was, and then this isn't to toot my own horn, even if it'll sound like it, but I was always told that I was more mature than most people at a younger age in general. So there's my mini ego boost for the day to our listeners. But basically, I was always acting a lot more mature in general. And even today, people are saying, there's no way you're 20 years old. You act like you're way older. I'd say, okay, thank you. I remember I was told this by a person that I was teaching over the summer. Uh, so, anyways, little things like that. But I think I'm definitely more knowledgeable of how people work nowadays, and so that's why I can handle certain situations way better. It just doesn't matter, but any type of situation. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to let you know where I see myself in 5 years. That's interesting.
We'll see for
So
ourselves.
yeah,
But
what?
I think the same. I think that's what changes my ability to like talk to people and understand them better, or give them the benefit of seeing their view instead of just shunting my own view onto them like I did as a
Yeah,
teenager.
I think that's really valuable to know that. I honestly find it to be a skill. If you can just hold yourself back for a second and just hear other people, just make them, throw their opinions out there. Because in the end, even if their opinions are right, they're the ones that are gonna kind of embarrass themselves if it's just all impulsiveness type of stuff, you know. Anyways, so the thing I wanted to ask you before this can be the ending topic, ending whatever. So the thing I wanted to ask you about was, since we talked about all of the stuff we came from. Now, do you think that despite that, you can break past the things that molded you, as in your past and your genetics, all the stuff that makes you use the nature and the nurture? Do you think you can completely break past that as a person and remold yourself? I could tell you my opinion, my answer on it, but I'm interested to see what you think.
I feel like the answer is like yes and no. It's like yes, I could, but no in the sense that's very like unnatural, if that makes sense. It's like I'm living my life the way I think I should. You're asking, can I break that? It's like, yeah, but why? It's like asking like a tiger. It's like, could you go a month without like eating a deer? It's like, yeah, I'd starve, but okay. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so I have a different take on it because personally, I'm really big into improvement and stuff and evolution. Like, I'm always trying to find something better.
Well, evolving
Um,
is different than breaking and being different.
no, but I mean evolving as a person. I'm not saying a physical human evolution that happens over thousands of
No, no, no.
years.
That's
I'm
what I'm
saying,
saying too. Is like, as a person, I try to be hardworking and honest and decent to people. And while I'm sure I can evolve and become more sympathetic or more thoughtful or more analytical in trying to figure out solutions to the people of less fortune, why would I break that? Or you know what I'm saying? It's like if I was maybe a bad person who like committed crimes and such, maybe then breaking that person into a good person is, I yeah, I think that'd be hard, but I think that's doable. But why would you break from, and maybe I'm just being an arrogant so and so, but why would I want to break myself if I'm already a decent human being?
well, because for me personally, I feel like you can always be better at something. The peak for me can never be reached. There's always something to strive towards. And if you think that, or no, I'm not saying you, I'm saying generally right now. If you think that you are perfect, then that is pure indication that you're not perfect. Like I feel like if you should assume that things are always going to be reached for, then that's a better way to improve. And so I've taken that kind of mentality for myself. Like I said, I want to always constantly be evolving. So to answer the question finally, I do think that I can break past those things, but I also don't necessarily break past them all because they make me who I am too. Like I definitely appreciate how I am. Like I appreciate the certain qualities that I've inherited from my parents and the things that I've learned and how I was raised and stuff. But I also know the negative sides, the negative characteristics, and I want to try to really dampen those and amplify the really positive ones. And for me personally, I feel like that's a good way. And then even if I can turn any of those weaknesses into strengths as a human being, then that to me is an evolving process. And I feel like you can totally achieve a lot more if you make yourself strive to find that mountaintop or that peak, whatever it is. But this is just me, so not everybody has to agree with that. And quite frankly, not everybody. Obviously, you don't necessarily agree with it. So
no,
I mean,
I feel like you phrased the question poorly. I think the question you really wanted to ask was, do you think people can change for the better? And I think absolutely. But I think it's a stepping stone process. You don't go from 0 to 100. You go like you you take the base of who you are now and build off of that, or change off of that. You don't break the base, rather you mold it to something new.
yeah, I will always say that people are a certain way because of their nature and nurture aspects, and whoever said that people can't change
He's a
was
loser.
I was gonna say he was the first cynic to ever exist. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, people can change. I've changed a lot from what I used to be, and I assume that I will continue to change. So, hey man, but that's all part of being staying. But that's all part of staying positive.
It's true.
So
It's true.
that's all there is to it.
Cheers to that. Everyone grab a glass of water and hold it in the air.
Or your choice of beverage.
No, water.
If-
Water's good for you. Shut up, Pete. Because we don't shut up, Pete. Get your glass of water, hold it in the air, and I cheers to all of you. Cheers to staying positive.
See you later.